Hey everybody. Oh, we got a video thing going on here. What the heck? Let's try that. Hey, there it is. How's it going?
Good.
Good, good, good. Well, it is now 3 o'clock. Holy cow, this day is just whipping by. And we are going to be talking now about the opportunities in command, specifically how to command your transactions using opportunities. Kind of a weird name. I probably should have worked on that a little bit. Basically, we're going to be focusing on transactions and opportunities and how to get them started off right so they have a great deal of success throughout the whole life of them. And that is going to be the main focus for today. Now, quick question as we get going here. David, you've been with me for the past a couple of days here and there. Who else do we have here? We have we've got not Dave Jenkins, but we've got the other Jenkins, right? I think we got the other Jenkins, and we've got also Worley 59. What's your name? Who are you? What is it?
I'm Dawn Folkerts.
Dawn. Okay, I'm going to change your name.
What's up like that? I really don't know.
I am going to change your name to Dawn.
Okay.
That way I can. There we go, Dawn. Oh, okay. There we go. And D Jenkins is going to be J Jenkins, I think. Anyway, so glad to have you all here. We are live on Facebook. We are also live on Zoom, and we're also live on YouTube. We got it going on everywhere. So, David, just a quick question. How are you doing with anything that we've covered today? We've covered quite a bit. Anything having trouble with?
No, because I'm just diving into it. So I'm sure I'll find plenty to be excited about as I go through it. But it's helpful. I'm finally starting to put the technical side of this thing together.
Excellent, excellent. Hi, Alice. You troublemaker there. All right, so good. Alice, do you have any questions for me? Anything that we've covered earlier today? Because I know that you were with me as well. Oh, she's getting her headphones on. You with me now?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have any questions that have come up since we started today? Anything that we've covered that you might have wanted to ask about?
Not really.
No? Okay. All right. Fine. Be that way. That was easy. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen with you here really quick. We're going to be talking about, like I said, command the opportunities. I didn't put the full name of this thing in here, but basically we're talking about how to really master your transactions, how to get the most out of them and make it so that they're as smooth as possible throughout the entire life. So we're going to talk about what are the opportunities. They are, the culmination or the conglomeration of all these different things: contracts, documentation, compliance, commissions. And there's even more. There's contacts, and then there's communication and all those things. Then we're going to create a new opportunity. I'm going to show you the absolute best way to do that to save the most amount of time and reduce the amount of effort that you have to put in, and to also increase the consistency. Vicky Jenkins, couldn't get the video to work on Zoom. I see you over there on Facebook, though, so you're with me now, so glad to have you there. And then finally, the last step is taking that opportunity and creating the DocuSign room. Now, we've done that a few times, and we did that today a little bit when we started talking about DocuSign, because kind of everything lends itself and kind of works together towards DocuSign and Command. So we're going to go over that a little bit. We're going to go over some other tips to make sure that it's a smooth process for you. All right, so the first thing we'll do here is we'll go ahead and shift on over to Command. Now, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this, but every week since Family Reunion, they've been doing this almost every single week since then. There's new updates that have been pushed to Command. And I thought I'd bring up that a little bit today, mainly because I'm excited about a couple of things that they added into Command. They added them last week, but this week was the official kind of like they're here kind of thing. And so I wanted to talk with you. If any of you are using tasks and you're part of a team. Now, this is not something that you're going to notice too much if you're a solo agent, but I want to bring it to your attention because it is so cool. I was really excited about this. So what happened is this. Before if you were on a team and you were trying to assign tasks, things to complete for a team member, you had to do it through an opportunity. So there was an intermediary. So you as the team leader, or just anybody on the team really, if you wanted, John Doe to do a task related or not to an opportunity, you still had to set that task in the opportunity, and then that person would be attached to that opportunity. Well, that is no more. Now teams can make direct linked tasks to individuals in the team with or without an opportunity in place. And I know that doesn't sound like much, but it actually is, because it allows you to assign duties to individuals on the team that are not opportunity centric. And I'm bringing that up because we are talking about opportunities today. If any of you that are going to end up watching this are team members and you want to talk about tasks for teams, reach out to me, because I've been following this one for quite some time, and I've become pretty good at understanding what they're going for here and how to show it to you. So there's a whole new tasks section for individual agents as well. So if you're a solo agent and you want to explore the tasks, they're way more powerful now than they were before. And I love the new tasks area. One of the biggest additions as a solo agent to the tasks area is you can now multi-select tasks and complete them, delete them, update them, all sorts of stuff. Whereas before you had to do every single task individually. And that can be a pain if you're on a smart plan, Alice, and your smart plan says call these 3 or 4 people or 10 people, and they keep popping up into your task list. And you're like, yeah, I've called these people. I just want to go ahead and mark 5 or 10 of them as done. Before, you'd have to do it one at a time. Now you can do bulk editing in the task area as an individual agent, which is, I know it doesn't sound like you think to yourself, well, shouldn't that have always been that way? Now, tasks was a kind of a neglected area, and they've taken some time to do some really cool stuff, including a brand new filter drawer for tasks, for due dates, for priorities. Really good stuff. So if you haven't had a chance to play around in there, that's the story for today. So obviously this training session was brought to you by Tasks. All right, so that's enough of that. Now let's talk about what we're really here for today. Opportunities. Starting at home. So what are opportunities? The word opportunities, the word transactions gets bantered around a lot. And if you think about it, it's all of the documents, it's all of the compliance requirements, the commission things. It's everything to do with an individual real estate transaction. And it's actually even more than just the business end of the deal. And what I mean by that is, when we think about a transaction, we think about paperwork. We think about, this is in action. It is going on. It's happening. Well, an opportunity, the difference between an opportunity and the word transaction is an opportunity can be without the transaction, because it can happen before you actually start to develop the paperwork end of it, the business end of the opportunity. And so I wanted to talk about that for a little bit, because I think it's an overlooked area of the business flow, your flow through the transaction. So let's take a look. And normally I wouldn't do this, but I'm going to do this now. I'm going to jump into the opportunities section to talk about the pipeline. Now, you've heard me talk dozens of times. I'm always telling you, don't come to this area of the program to look at a specific transaction, a specific opportunity. Don't go here. And that's because this area is designed to manage your business, the big picture. And that is still true. But I'm going to use this to talk about the big picture, but I'm going to focus in on a single transaction because I want to show you the life of a transaction, the life of an opportunity as your business. And when you look at this page on when we land on the opportunities page, now you may see it a little bit differently on yours because I have a team that I have built. And it's called the MCTT 463 team. This team is just for demonstration purposes, so it's not real people. It's not a real agency. But that is a team. And then right next to that, I have my individual pipeline, which is me as a solo agent. And then right next to that, I have an all opportunities tab here, which literally shows me all of my opportunities. And I can filter, search, sort, I can do all sorts of stuff with the all opportunities tab. And then finally, all discussions. And again, this really stands out when we start talking about teams and discussions going on within the opportunities of a team. But let's come back here to the Robert Vincent solo agent account. So I'm in my solo account here. I'm not in the team account. I'm in my personal my personal agent account. And the pipeline itself is the same for listings as it is for buyers. And what that means is the phases and the stages of the pipeline are the same. So the phases of the pipeline are cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed. Now, what these mean for you as a business owner is monitoring where each transaction is at. Now, when we look at the numbers under here, this says that in the Cultivate phase, there are 45 transactions that live here. So there are 45 transactions, and I'm going to go ahead and click on it here. And what I'm seeing here is in the Cultivate phase, I've got 45 different transactions that are living here right now. What that translates into is, because of where it is in the pipeline, it's potential business. This is not a contract. Anything that's like literally cultivate. Is it a tomato yet if you're cultivating it? No, it's not a tomato yet, but you have planted the seed. Wow. I randomly pulled that out of nowhere, and I like that a lot. That really does kind of sum it up, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm sticking with that one. Okay. So we are cultivating, and we got a little plant thing here that references that, because we don't have our tomatoes yet. But what we've done is we've planted the seed, and I've got 40 some odd seeds that have been planted here. Okay. And at this point in time, some of them are going to grow and some of them are not. So, but none of the ones that are in Cultivate are in transactional state yet. And you can see by the names of what we call the stages within the phase. So the phase is Cultivate, and the stages are Watch, Nurture, and Hot. So you could think of it like this. Watch is, I'm going to put Jackie Estudo in here because I have a sense that this contact that I've started to develop a relationship with is thinking about getting something going in terms of selling their house. But yeah, it really hasn't come up a lot yet, but I'm just going to put them in here to monitor their progress being your progress, because really when you think about it, this is all about you managing this relationship. So what are you doing at the Cultivate phase and in the Watch stage? What are you doing? Are you reaching out, talking to them and saying, hey, just thought I'd check in with you. You mentioned back in July that you were interested in the market, and you thought that the market might be good for, a good time to sell. I just thought I'd just, poke you on the side there and say, hey, what do you think? Did you want to talk about the market again? Because right now they're not doing anything. They're just thinking. They're just talking. So watching this, what are you going to do? Now, I'm going to actually open up, and I'm going to have you all feel free to unmute and tell me, seriously, as agents, and Alice, I'm going to lean on you for this because I know you've had a lot of experience in the various areas of a pipeline. What do you do when you have something that is so young and fresh and you're watching it? What are the things that you do?
For me, what I try to do is, or I always have intentions of doing, is um, putting them in a smart plan that I can do something that sends them out something every month or every 3 weeks or whatever. But I put them in a smart plan that includes me calling them at certain intervals.
And what kind of a conversation would you have at the call point? Like, is it just a general hello, or are you gonna lean into it a little bit?
Well, I think if, depending on how I got them into the Cultivate, I mean, most of them are just kind of leads that you might have talked to once or twice, but you've got something on here. Generally in Cultivate, I have a little note that says, you know, they're looking in so and so town, or they're looking on the beach or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So when I am in touch with them, when I'm making the call, I'm going to ask them, maybe pull up a couple of listings and say, I send out things to say, did you see this one?
Okay.
And just kind of get them moving, because they haven't been probably looking the whole time that I haven't been talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
They look sometimes. So I'm going to ask them, did you see this? Would you like to go out or would you like to have a Zoom meeting so we can talk more
Mm-hmm.
about what you're really looking for? And I want to make sure I've got it right. So I do a lot of Zoom meetings.
Okay. All right. So the touching stage comes through the smart plans, and just it's a lot about brand awareness, and it's a lot about what the market looks like. Keeping them up to date on what that market looks like. If the conversation started from that, my fictitious standpoint of, the market seems interesting. So since you have that information, play on it and say, okay, well, if the market seems interesting to this person, maybe I should, pass along information to them about the market that might, help them understand when would be a good time for them personally, and to keep me in their mind as the person that can be the one that's there for them when they're ready.
Mhm.
How about you, David?
Um, well, the Cultivate ones, I tried to start to use those. I've got a gentleman who is interested in buying land that is 25 acres to $1 million. I know that sounds strange, but that's the way he put it. So I've been looking at that, and I follow up with him like every Sunday because we go to the same church. Um, I also have somebody who just signed up for a rental apartment, and he wants me to look for another apartment for him that he's going to be ready to move into in July of next year. So I put him in the opportunities, and I guess I would put him in the watch, uh, sending him agreements or paperwork, like what the relationship is, relationship disclosure, and that sort of thing.
Well, now see, that's transactional now, isn't it though?
Is it?
Right? I mean, if you think about it, now you're starting to you're sending papers, okay? And so
Okay.
just so that we're clear, the cultivate stage, if you do that, if you end up sending something, then when you get that signed document back, they're technically active at that point, because
Okay.
they have moved so far down your list that you're beyond the appointment stage of getting that initial business signature. And now you're in active, and you're actually pursuing something for them, even if it's casually. So, when we look at the active, I'll jump over here. We have staging, showing, and negotiations. Now, right before this button is appointment, and we have the appointment kept. At the point of an appointment kept, at the end of that, you should have assigned something, right? So you sat down with them, and something's been signed, and you are working with them. So that means that they're active. Now, don't concern yourself too much with the wording of staging, showing, and negotiations in the active stage, because these are the default stage names, and we could change them. So you could actually go, because appointment we know ends in kept, which will result in a signature. Active, you could actually put a stage in here that says signed, and we're not staging it yet, but we're building the concept behind what we're selling or looking for, whatever it is. So that's a really good point that you bring up, David, because we're talking about the Cultivate phase here, and there's only 3 stages inside: watch, nurture, and hot. You could argue with me very successfully, I might add, that your particular situation could end up in hot, because it's not really going anywhere yet, but it's something I'm really keeping an eye on. You could argue that that's where it is. My argument would be that it's active, and so it would be in the first part of active. But at the same time, you would have a good case to say I would put it here. And this kind of brings me to the point of the opportunity pipeline is yours to manage for your business. And it is not fully customizable. It is highly customizable. The only thing we can't change is the phase names: cultivate, appointment, active, under contract, and closed. We can't change that. But everything that's in here for the stages themselves, in the cultivate stage, we have watch, nurture, and hot. If that doesn't work for you, and you as a business person say, you know what, this means nothing to me. However, in cultivate, I'm just going to have one: watch. Cultivate. I'm just watching it to see where it goes. You can absolutely remove these and not use them. You don't have to use them. And in the appointment stage, you could say, well, look, I'm not going to do scheduling, as in I got to call this person to schedule. So I got to call them on Monday to schedule it for Tuesday. And then on Tuesday, they kept the appointment and I signed a deal. I signed a paper. You could just say, call to schedule and then signed paperwork. You could absolutely change it to what you wanted it to be. So when you look
Robert,
at the... Yeah.
Robert, what are the percentages there? What do they represent?
Oh, okay. You hold that thought. I'm going to get to those in a minute.
Okay.
All right. I'll hold that thought. So when we look at these things, whether we're looking at the phase of cultivate all the way on up through, I would like you to remind yourself that just because you see things a certain way here does not mean that they have to be that way. If they don't make sense to you, you can absolutely rearrange how they work. But one of the things that we need to remember is that there's 4 phases and then closed. Closed is not really a phase. Closed is done. Closed is literally closing the file cabinet. So we don't really use closed except for certain things that we might want to do after a closing is complete, which would be something like add the anniversary date to the contact, send out a thank you note, send out whatever it is that you do, follow up in 2 weeks to do whatever it is. I'm just kind of throwing things out in the wind there. But closed is like, okay, now you don't just go wash your hands of it. No, because your business is always based on referrals. And so you want to make sure that you stay in touch with your people. Although closed is the final step, it is also the beginning of the next steps for the relationship itself, right? But we have 4 main phases: cultivate, appointment, active, and under contract. So when we think about these things, you have to make the determination all the way back to my original statement of when does this transaction become a transaction? When does it move from conversation to action? And in the way that the software is built, they have an expectation that you're going to watch it, and then after you think about this, how crazy is this? Let's be real honest with each other. I'm watching this transaction, but aren't you also nurturing it at the same time? Isn't that kind of like the one and the same? I mean, watching it is literally just going, yep, okay, I got that Jackie Astuto there, but I'm not going to send out any smart plans. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just watching it from afar. But not really, because, as Alice said, you're going to start with a smart plan. You're nurturing. So to me, this is kind of redundantly dumb, because things happen so fast in this business that you're not going to watch it for weeks, and sit on it. You're going to be putting it in a smart plan, and you're going to get as fast as you can over to hot. And once you get into hot, hopefully you're going to just sail right through the appointment and get into the active and start working on it in the active area and getting these things going. So the idea of how long things belong in these different stages within each phase, it to me, the way it looks is like these are parked. They're sitting there, but they're not. They move very, very quickly. When you create a new opportunity, the default position in the pipeline is Cultivate Watch. It's the entry level. It's the first door into the pipeline. That's why when you look at my pipeline here in my opportunities, I've got 44 under listings and Cultivate, and I've got 11 under buyers. This is a perfect indication of me not doing anything. If I was a true real estate agent, this would be a very unhealthy pipeline, because that number 44 has been there for 113 days on average. That's no good, especially in this market. There's $7.25 million of volume sitting in that bucket that's getting moldy at 113 days. I got to get it out of that bucket. Truth be told, managing your pipeline requires you to go into the pipeline and move things around and do stuff. Oftentimes when you are managing a transaction, that time, even though it's there, it's literally just click and drag. That's it. But the conscious effort to do that, you don't typically think about, oh, I got to move it in the pipeline. You just go in here wherever it is and you just get to work and you just start doing your thing. Okay, well, I got to get into the documents and I got to get those things in there. And for 6 weeks, it sits in Cultivate. And then all of a sudden you've got a signed contract and you're putting together an offer. Things can happen like that, where it sits because you're not managing the paperwork end of it. And well, let me rephrase that. Not paperwork. It's the digital positioning end of it. It's like where it is in the pipeline. You're not managing the pipeline. You're managing the opportunity, the transaction. And that's okay. I'm certainly not going to stand here and tell you need to make sure you stay on top of your pipeline. Frankly, I don't care if your pipeline sits in Cultivate all the way until it's closed. The documents are still going through. The commission paid checks are still being written. All that's still happening. But, and now, David, I'm going to answer your question. What is the pipeline for, and why is it valuable if we're going to use it at all? And it comes down to this on the right-hand side, the GCI. We have two statements here based on what's in the pipeline. There's a potential income in this green pipeline of $403,613.30. That's my potential total income from all of the opportunities that are listed here. Okay. That potential is literally a big giant maybe, because right now I got 41 things in Cultivate. So that money is in this number, but it doesn't mean that that's going to happen. That's why there's another one, probable income. Probable income is the adjusted commission based on each stage's probability to close. And that tells me that based on where things are in my pipeline, the probable income that I'm going to get based on where things are is $159,000. And I'm leaving $300,000 on the table. Well, 200 and some odd. Percentages. The lower the percentage, the least likely that this thing's going to close. And at 113 days in the Cultivate pipeline means that anything that's sitting in the watch phase has a 5% chance of turning into real money. Anything that's in the nurture pipeline has 2% more. This is now at 7% likeliness or probability of closing. And I think you can see what's happening here. Low probability, higher probability. So if this thing moves over to hot, it's 10% more likely to close than not being in here at all. And it's twice as likely to close as being something in the watch. Now, if I go through this and I look at the different phases and stages, if I get to the appointment stage, now remember, hot gives me a 10% probability. Appointment gives me 10% if I am calling to make an appointment. I haven't scheduled it yet because I'm giving them a call and saying, would you like to meet on Wednesday? That's what this is, 10%. If they say yes and I schedule the appointment, it jumps to 20% probability to close. By putting it here, I'm now going from a 5% watch to a 20% probability that I'm going to see money on this. Now, if they keep that appointment on Wednesday and they sign the transactions and I become their agent, and I'm not going to use terminology that I don't know, but if they sign something and I'm now working with them, they have kept the appointment and it's signed, it goes to 30% probability. Just by moving it across here, I'm now at 30%. Now, if I go back to my main dashboard now and I take that 30%, I'm at 160.52. Now, I don't know. Let me check something because I want to make sure some of these dummy things that I've created, they don't actually have money inside of them. And this one does. This has 68.97. So let me look real quick at this. We're looking at something that has, okay, I got a $600,000 house, 3% commission, 68.97. So my chances of this money coming through have gone to 20%. Now I'm going to do something crazy here to show you numbers in a different way. I'm going to make this house a $6 million home. Okay. And I'm going to increase my commission here from 3% to 6%. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want you to see the numbers jump in one transaction as opposed to having to do bunches of them. So I'll come back to my opportunity pipeline. So that transaction, which is in the appointment stage of kept, right? That transaction put me at 162,721. 162,721. If I come back here and take that and move it all the way back into Cultivate, and I drop it all the way back down, that percentage now goes to 159. That probability of the income dropped because that money is sitting in a very low probability state. The higher that we move that thing up, and let's see if I come back over here, keeping in mind that it was this one here. If I keep this thing moving and I keep on doing this, and I'll go ahead and I'm going to take it into the under contract. Well, hopefully. There we go. Drop it into under contract. Now in under contract, that number now, it puts it into the escrow area. So if I come back to my main page, come on, there we go. I'm at 171 now because of that one transaction. And I'm using that to demonstrate a large number for you for visibility. But in reality, this number grows with how I move it through the pipeline. Is that a valuable statistic for you? Is this something where when you're looking at your business as a whole, do you intend to monitor your probable income, your potential income, or are you head down into the transaction, and when the transaction's done, you look up and you go, oh, there's $13,000 that just came through for me. Where is your head when it comes to your business? That is not a judgmental question. That is something where you need to decide, and you don't even really have to decide it, because some people, like I said, they never manage the pipeline because this number is not what they're focused on. What they're focused on is moving the actual transaction through, and they're not doing this management side. And this is one of the main reasons why when I talk about creating opportunities, I don't want you to come here. I don't want you to go here and click create opportunities for two reasons. One, when you come in here and you do this, you're presented with a number that in all honesty is probably way off from reality because you're not truly managing the pipeline. It's most likely a number that doesn't reflect reality. Now, number two is when you click create opportunity, it does not know who the opportunity is for. And if you type in John here, you're going to end up with all of the Johns in your database. And I've got a bunch of them. It's very likely, especially in this world, that you have two people with the same name. You don't want to do this to select inadvertently the wrong person, because as you probably are aware, that when you create an opportunity, once you hit that button, there's really not much you can do to change it. And in many times when things are wrong, you sometimes just have to dump it off and start again. Now, yes, you can change the name. Yes, there are certain elements you can change. One of the things you cannot change is the opportunity type. listing, buyer, landlord, or tenant. Once you've selected that and hit create, the opportunity it's like sealed up. The type of opportunity cannot be changed, and you have to dump it off if you're not going to use it. But I don't like this tool because I don't like to be ambiguous about who the opportunity is for. Because of that, I recommend not coming here, but going to the contact area, finding the contact, and locating exactly who you're trying to work with. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to find my buddy John Morgan. And see, I'm very explicit. This is the person I'm looking for. Yes, that's his phone number. Yes, that's his email. Over here in opportunities, create the opportunity. And yes, that's the right John Morgan. Okay. That's a guarantee for you. That makes it absolutely perfectly, unmistakably John Morgan's opportunity. So sorry, I clicked the wrong button. The opportunities page is not a place to manage an opportunity. It's for you to start thinking about the opportunities in your business. Now, as I say that, you're thinking to yourself, well, Robert, you've been showing me how to move an opportunity along the pipeline by using this board to drag and drop. Absolutely true. And it's a kind of a cool, fun tool. But it's not my favorite tool, and I'll give you exactly one reason why. So this opportunity is Robert Vincent Listing Training Class DocuSign. If I take it over into my active area and I drop it, where's it going? Good question. I know it's going to active, but what stage? Well, logic would dictate that it's going to go to the far left stage. So I'll drop it here. So now it's gone from here and we know it's inactive. And I've got 7 things going on in active. And Robert Vincent is down here somewhere under active, right? Where is it? It's not in showing. Is it under negotiations? Where is this thing? I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan, you guys, because I find it easy to lose things in this view because it's just, it is what it is, right? It's not for managing the individual things. It's for just looking at things and seeing where things are at. I know that the best way to manage that opportunity for Robert Vincent is to go back to here and look for Robert Vincent, find Robert Vincent, and go into, I think it's this one here, and go to the opportunity listing training class, and there it is, staging active. Did it show me that? I couldn't find it. Robert Vincent listing training class DocuSign. Click it to open it. Look at it. Here is the phase and stage. You want to make a change, edit, come down here and say, yes, it's inactive, but it's already in negotiations. This to me is very explicit. This says that that money is now in the right part of the pipeline so that when I report that number and when I look at that number, and I'm getting an interesting little error here. This is interesting to me because I'm not sure why I'm seeing it. I'm not seeing an indication, but it did move it into negotiations. Okay. Now that means the money is now in the probable and it's affecting the probable, in this case, to the tune of $8,400 towards whatever the percentage is in negotiations, 60%, 50%. So it's actually adding about $4,000 to my probable until I get higher and higher up those chains. Okay, pause. How are we doing on the idea behind the pipeline and the understanding of what it's doing for your business?
Well, I understand how it could be used to manage your business, which is important to figure out where you put your efforts. Could I ask you a question? Where did you go for that last screen that you showed us?
Okay, the last screen I showed you was actually inside of the opportunity. So to get there, if I tried to do it through the pipeline, I'd be fishing.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I'd be fishing for it. However, I know who it was for, and I know the transaction. There's two ways where we can get to it to be sure that we're looking at the right thing. If I want to stay in the opportunities applet, I can come up here to all opportunities. And in the search bar, I know that one of the words that I had put in the name of the opportunity was DocuSign. That was in the name of the opportunity. And I also know that it was in the phase of, look at this. It's not, look at it. We know that it moved, but it actually didn't. These are still showing in listing active instead of the other phase. So something is amiss here. So I think it was this one. Was it? Yeah, closing. Active negotiation. So look at this. There's something going on here, something that I don't like. Active negotiations, yet this page showed me that it was not under active negotiations. So maybe, yeah, no, it is, because it's not showing the stage. It's only showing the phase. My bad. So it is there, but it doesn't show the stage. And again, not happy about that. So my methodology for managing a single opportunity is to not look at it here. It's to go to the contact. I always recommend finding the person. And in most cases, now, Alice, I know that you've dealt with, you've mentioned this before, that you have dealt with the same clients in sometimes multiple times, 2-3 times, where you're dealing with, they come back to you, they're return clients. And so you have multiple opportunities for the same client. Okay. Mm-hmm. And that's a fantastic, it's a great thing to be able to say that about a business, especially real estate business. In the case of this, I'm emulating that where I've got the same client who has multiple transactions, multiple opportunities. I'm not able to see that on the opportunities applet. You can't see these like this. I can't see that in October, there were 2 opportunities. And in July, there was 1 here. And I can't go back through the history to even last year, right? If I wanted to go all the way back to last year, I can't do that on the opportunities page. But I can do it on the opportunities tab of the contact themselves. I can see every transaction in order. And here, when we talked about this specific one, listing training class DocuSign, I know that it's in negotiation stage and the phase of active. Now, to change that and modify it, which was your question, David, if I open the transaction on the details page here, forgetting that there's something wrong, I can see that the phase is active and the stage is negotiations. At this point, I can click the edit button up here to the right of the general information, and I can open up the editor for the conditions of this transaction. Okay? So I have control over where it is in the phase and the stage right from here. And this is why I was saying that I prefer this method, because it's very explicit. I am moving this from active to under contract, and we are now in inspections. And that money will reflect in my pipeline. And I don't have to worry about, did I move it to the right place? Did I move it twice? Did it go? Did it go? Now I can look at this and say save, and I can look at it go under contract inspections. That's where the money is.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
So now I have control. Now that I have control, I can come back to my pipeline and say, now that I know where everything is, I know that I've explicitly stated what's where. 410 of potential, probable is at 177. I probably need to get on my cultivates, and I need to get back in there and start working. Now, as a business, remember, I'm not talking about an individual opportunity yet, but as a business, now I'm looking at Cultivate and I'm going, oh boy, I need to get through this because there's 35 things in here I have not even set up on a smart plan yet. Well, it's time for me to do that. So let me come in here, and we can see that this one here is for some opportunity for Robert Vincent. So I'll go ahead and click on this to open it and say, okay, I need to get this person on a smart plan. Come up here, Robert Vincent, go to the contact, come over to my, well, because that's in the other side. That's fine. Come over to my smart plans area and get Robert on a smart plan and start making that communication.
So, Robert, I have a question. When I am, I put people in as contacts, and then when I'm looking for them, I go into contacts, I find them, I make sure I have written, filled out everything that I can. And then when I'm going to do an opportunity with them, when they're at the opportunity stage, I go into opportunity to find them
Nope.
because I don't know how to. Then from contacts, how do I get them? How do I get the opportunity thing? Because I just go to opportunity and find them and add a new opportunity.
This is the beauty of once you've found them in contacts. So here you are, Alice, right?
Okay.
So I
Yeah.
found you. I verified that that's your phone number. I know that that's your email. I know I'm looking at your record. Okay.
Yeah.
Opportunities right here on the right. Opportunities, create opportunity. There's the dialogue.
Okay.
And
All
when I
right.
do this, remember, it automatically populates the contact that I'm looking at, Alice Kabaki, and I can specify the opportunity type as a listing. And if I had Michael's name in here, I could put Michael's name in here and I could add him as a co-seller, put my commission rate in, and boom, I have an opportunity.
Okay.
Now
Yeah.
remember,
I've only used this page here for Smart Plan. I never
that's
used it for the opportunity. I never
That's why
even.
we go this way, because this is where it all matters. Because
Okay.
now, anytime you want to talk to Alice about this opportunity, you don't have to fish around in the opportunities area. You don't have to search for anything. You go to your contact, find Alice, and go to the opportunities here, and boom, you're right there. Everything's ready to go.
All right. Good show.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Okay. So when we create the opportunities, we're creating them from the contact. When we are managing the business end of our business, we can come here to do this. Now, I'm going to kind of tell you something that's going to sound a little bit like I am lying about what I just said, because there's some cool things in this view, not particularly this page, but in the opportunities area. There's something really cool here, and I'm going to call it a personal dashboard. Okay. So right now, this is confusing because it doesn't show you anything. And when you go in here to look at the Cultivate, you got to scroll through all this work. There's a lot going on, and it can be it's icky. It's not easy to use. But from that homepage of the opportunities, if you go to the All Opportunities page, and in the case of if you are working today and you're sitting there looking at your business for today, and you are like, you know what? I need to focus on all of the opportunity types that are number one, listing types today. And I want to focus on only the opportunities that are in Cultivate because I need to get them onto smart plans. Okay. So listings into smart plans. That's my goal today. I'm going to use the filter box and apply it to all of my opportunities. And here it is, all of my opportunities that are in Cultivate and that are listings. And I have 57 of them according to my list. At this point in time, I can start to go through here and go, you know what, this Cadman Rivas, that's probably not going to happen. As a matter of fact, I might even just go ahead and say that this one's lost. And you can say that's not going to happen. However, you can come back and you can say, all right, all of my, see now I lost my filter because I didn't show you, I didn't finish telling you what I needed to do. So I'll put my filter back on and I look at this and I say, okay, that Elijah, oh, you know what? I need to get that going because I knew that there was a listing in Cultivate and it's been a while. As a matter of fact, you look at that and you're like, okay, I know that this has been a while because you know your own stuff, right? So you can come over here and look at that and say, it's time for me to get going. But as far as maybe this Cadman Rivas, you can actually come over here to the right side and archive it and say, you know what, that one's not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to delete it. I'm just going to archive it. It's not going to happen. That's not going anywhere. Tony Vincent over here, 456 Main Street, she's also not going to happen. I'm going to archive that. So you can manage the multiple opportunities here, cleaning up your pipeline. And remember, if something's not in the pipeline, then you are not getting it into the potential and probable, right? Because it's not there anymore. So if you archive opportunities that aren't going to happen, they're not dead, they're not gone. You can always bring them back and restart them, and work with them. You can always do that. But archiving them cleans up your pipeline and changes your probable and your potential to be more accurate. Okay? And then that whole thing with the all opportunities, with the filters, you can now say, I'm going to take all those listings in Cultivates and I'm going to create a view. And I'm going to say that view right there, I want to save this view. So right next to it, you can say create smart view. And this is listing Cultivate. And save it. Now at that point, you now can jump back into this anytime and see your listing Cultivates. And here I have one under contract, dual agencies. I've got a dual agency filter that's going to show me all of my dual agency stuff. And think of it, a dual agency literally has two sides of a deal. So dual agency stuff, having a view for dual agency, what a great way to be able to focus. Okay, Sally seller, Bill buyer. There they are. That's my dual agency one right now. And it's a great way to use this tool to manage your transactions. You're still going to go into the opportunity for Sally and Bill to work with it, but now you at least are seeing exactly where they're at, what's going on, and they're not lost in that. Good stuff, huh?
Yep.
Okay, what else you got for questions?
I take it that renters and leasers are on the same same page.
The same thing, except for you'll notice that when we get into the names of the pipeline phases, we have cultivate, appointment, active, pending, as opposed to under contract, and then closed. So that's the only real difference, is there's a pending area. Now, one of the things you want to remember too is the names might be a little different. So cultivate still has watch, nurture, and hot. Appointment, scheduling, scheduled, and kept. Active has showing, application submitted, and legacy here is for imported, in this case, .loop objects. Don't worry about that at all. That's not something we need to worry about. But so showing and application submitted, you could have application approved, or in pending, application accepted, you could add application approved. So in terms of the way that the leasing part works, it's totally up to you. One caveat though, and David, you mentioned that you do some of these things, leases and renters and leases.
Yeah.
One thing that you want to watch for, like a hawk, is the default view for the tenants. I'll go ahead and come back here and show you. No matter where you click on the leases section, no matter where you click, okay, whenever you click, the default view is to show you the tenant side, not the landlord side.
Okay.
So if you have something in here and you know it's a landlord and you're like, oh my God, where did it go? Just make sure that you come up here and switch it over to landlord to see the landlord ones.
Okay.
Okay. That's something that I'm not really happy about. So.
Okay.
All right. So the ideas behind all of this, very simply to wrap this all up, is the pipeline is a fantastic business management tool if you fill out all the data on the transaction, on the opportunity, and you constantly keep it up to date. Then these numbers mean something. They have value. Without that, frankly, if you look at your database right now and you've got stuff in here and you're not moving it through, these numbers have no bearing. They have no value until you put things in the right place with the right numbers and the right information to get it to make it mean something. So I don't like to talk about this as being a good tool unless you manage your pipeline opportunities very, very well. Okay. All right, you guys, that's going to wrap it up. Dawn, I noticed that you kind of faded out on me there. Do you have any questions for me?
She's probably not there.
No, she's there.
Oh, is she?
Turn on your microphone, Dawn.
Turn on.
I was walking around. I'm getting ready for my next workout, so I was getting myself. I could hear things.
You're basically you were downing some Red Bulls to get ready for some working out. All right. Do you have any questions? Anything that I can answer for you?
Good.
Okay.
It was good. The one thing I was going to say, there's no way to change that default from when it's on the leases.
No, there's no way to change the default. That's a really good question, but let me show you a little trick. Okay. So this is something where, let me see if I can get into the, okay, landlord.
Yeah, I wish it would default to landlord as opposed to.
All right, so here's your little Superman trick. Okay, no, we cannot set this to a default, but I use bookmarks and I use folders for my bookmarks. Okay, and one of the things that you'll see here is when I switch this over to tenant, look at what happens to the address bar of the actual address, the URL. It shows tenant. If I switch it over to landlord, it shows landlord.
And then bookmark it.
You can bookmark this page to be the page that you go to so that you don't have to come in here and worry about switching. You could just click on your bookmark that says landlord and the one that says tenant. And so you can build your own thing. And that's literally what I do with my screen is I have a navigation folder. So inside of all the programs that I use, there's a specific area I want to go. I have no problem making a bookmark to that part as long as when I check in here that it says that it's actually doing what I want it to do. So it's a really cool tool to use bookmarks to do something where they haven't got it for us right now. Okay. That's it, you guys. That's it for the training this week. Next week, of course, we come back with DocuSign. We're going to start the entire process of going through creating an envelope. So we're going to be focusing on an envelope. And then the afternoon classes, I haven't figured those out yet, but those will be announced. So you guys have an awesome day. I'll go ahead and stop this here. And, of course, I'll remind everybody that you can always reach me at robert.vincent@kwclm. And you can get booking time on my calendar at timewithrobert.com. And anytime we are meeting, it's in this Zoom room, KW Tech TV. All the live streams are on KW Tech Tube and on the Facebook live streams as well. And the YouTube, kwtechtube.com. You can always go there and watch any of those pre-recorded live streams like today's. So that's it. I hope you guys have an awesome day. And we will talk to you all, I'm guessing, later on.
Thanks, Robert.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, Dawn.
Bye.
Bye, Alice.
Bye, Dave.